We're here at the Mueller Sports Complex. Time for the inaugural episode of Eagle Sports Talk on the Oklahoma Wesleyan Sports Network. Also on the radio, 99.1 FM KPGM. We have three wonderful coaches here from the Oklahoma Wesleyan Athletic Program. I'll start with Coach Bostwick over here. You want to introduce yourself and say what sport you coach?
Yeah, Coach Donnie Bostwick. I'm the men's basketball coach.
And Coach Glavonic?
Coach Vladan, Glavonic, women's soccer.
And Coach Robinson?
Coach Robinson, wrestling.
All right, I wanted to start off, Coach Robinson, asking you a couple questions. A lot of people might not know Oklahoma Wesleyan does have a wrestling program. You guys just started, had your first match over the weekend. I wanted to ask you, from a broader scope, what are some of the unique challenges just to starting an athletic program, from the ground up?
Well, we started this last weekend, and just building a culture here at Oklahoma Wesleyan University has kind of been the hardest thing in that aspect, because when you come into a program, you look at their successes and their failures, and you're looking at that as a broader overlook. And with these kids coming in, freshmen, we have 8 guys on the team, and all of them are freshmen. And so they get the opportunity to be able to create a culture here at Oklahoma Wesleyan University. And so that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we've had to face. But they're maturing, they're stepping in, and they're doing a lot of good things. Even though we kind of had a rough weekend this weekend, there was a lot of promises and a lot of good things that did happen. With young kids, they're a little nervous when they step out on the mat, and they're a little bit nervous going into competition. And so that's been probably one of the biggest hurdles that we've had to overcome.
Now, you use that word culture. What are some of those things, those character traits that you want that Oklahoma Wesleyan culture to be about?
Well, I think number one that I talk to all our athletes about is that I'm going to attack them spiritually. One of the highest things that we hold in our program is our Christian walk in that aspect, and so that's the first thing that we want to attack. The second way that I attack my athletes is emotionally, and when I attack them emotionally, I explain it like this: I like to win, you like to win. You hate to lose, I hate to lose. And when you do both of those things, you get emotional, and especially in the sport of wrestling, where it's man against man, and you can't blame any of your mistakes on anybody else. And then the third way that I'm going to attack them is physically. And they are tough, they're good kids, and they're building that. And so as we build our culture, those are our 3 points that we are going to attack, and we're going to go head on. And so if you talk about Iowa-style wrestling, or you talk about Missouri-style wrestling, that's a culture because they have created that. And with the opportunity here at Oklahoma Wesleyan University, we get that opportunity to be able to create that culture.
Now, Coach, I kind of dove right into your program there, but a lot of people might not know a little bit about you. You want to give a background on yourself?
So I come here from St. Louis, where I worked at a parochial Catholic school. And before then, I was at Missouri Baptist University. I went into the ministry right out of college from Central Oklahoma. I went into the ministry in southeastern Oklahoma. Was in the ministry for 16 months, but I wrestled at Central Oklahoma. I was an All-American in 2008 at Central Oklahoma at 149 pounds, part of a national championship team in 2007, and was a state champion at Edmond North High School in Edmond, Oklahoma.
So it sounds like you have a pretty good wrestling background, going to be able to instill some good values into these kids. So coming up, we mentioned you had your first meet last weekend. What does the schedule look like going forward for you guys?
So this weekend, we're on the road. We're in Bristol, Tennessee, not to go watch the Motor Speedway, but we're going to go Bristol, Tennessee. It's going to be kind of a long drive, but we're going to go out there and compete against a couple of Division II and NAIA schools on the on the East Coast, and then we come home next weekend and we head to Texas. We're on the road a lot early in the year. But our first home event is January the 8th here at Oakwood in the gym. And then we have 2 other ones in the later part of the season in February 1st, February 2nd, where we'll take on Oklahoma City University as well as York College.
Well, that's awesome, Coach. I think a lot of people are really looking forward to seeing you get this program off the ground. So we'll move on to Coach Glavonic, women's soccer coach. You guys have had a ton of success this season, currently in the conference tournament. You want to give a little bit of a rundown on your season thus far, some of the highlights?
Well, obviously, it's one of the historic seasons here. We broke several records, and currently we are in the semifinals of the conference, which we're playing on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. And then, obviously, we already, with winning the regular season conference title, we secured at-large bid for the national tournament, which is going to be taking place on November 18th. The girls are doing really, really well this year. We're just riding the wave, and chemistry and all the positivity that the girls created. It's kind of contagious, and it's a really, really fun season, and it's fun to be around them. And I just can pray and hope that we just keep riding this wave.
So you mentioned you guys are going to be participating in that national tournament. Now talk about how big that is for your program, in terms of being recognized as one of those elite teams in the NAIA.
Well, obviously it's always good to be recognized for all the work that you do, and currently we're sitting at number 12 in the nation, the highest ranking that we ever had in our program at Oklahoma Wesleyan. Also, this is going to be the first time that Oklahoma Wesleyan women's soccer program got to the NAIA national tournament, and it is really, really neat and cool to be around, and it is huge for us. I'm extremely, extremely happy about this group of seniors who worked so hard. That's my first big recruiting class that I had a chance to bring in here, and all the work they've done, all the suffer and tears and pain that they went through to make this possible. I'm just ecstatic and really, really happy for them more than anybody else.
So not only you guys on the women's side have had a ton of success, the men's team has done very well. I believe you guys have identical records as we stand right now. Coach Robinson used that word culture. How do you feel like that Oklahoma Wesleyan soccer culture has been influenced and built here in this last year?
Well, obviously, success is always that we try to mimic, and I was assistant for Jamie Peterson. He was obviously the crucial part of my coaching career to become a head coach here, and we try to mimic them. They're number 2 in the nation. They've been number 1 for several years, and their record is always stellar, and they're just a really, really good program. And but I know that when we were assistant coaches for him, that we mimicked the basketball program here that Coach Donnie Bostwick had in the past, and I think it kind of rolls like a snowball. Everybody likes success. We always try to see, learn. That's the biggest thing for me. I'm trying to learn from all the other coaches in this department, what they do, why they're so successful, what can we do better to be even better. And it's kind of a culture of winning, and it's also just seeing all the coaches, how they act when they win. Obviously, the Christian part is huge. I think any coach that you ask, they're always going to come back to that and say, how blessed you've been. And when you start looking back, even I'm in the 5th year of coaching. Not really, I'm still a young coach, but when you see some things that happen along the way, you're like, how did we get lucky? And obviously, I don't think the luck exists so much. It's just hard work, and you got to be blessed. You got to get the man about to help you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And in touching on that, we've talked a lot about your success on the pitch, but how are you influencing your team, off of the field?
Well, obviously, we challenge them as much as we can. Spiritually, obviously, we have Oakwood Chapel. We have team devotions before the games. We challenge them also. Coach Donnie, Bostwick, and Colby obviously started the FCA chapter on campus, and those are kind of the big things. Within our program, we have our competitive cadre, and the philosophy that we just call compete, and where the discipline, the character, the fundamentals come in play, and we challenge them every day with the things on and off the field. It's just a progressive thing that we don't change much. We try to tweak things here and there, but it's just challenging them every day to be a good sport, to be a good member of the Oklahoma Wesleyan community, and so far it's been working.
Well, all right, Coach, thank you very much, and good luck tomorrow as you guys take on York in the semifinals, and then we'll later be advancing to that national tournament. Turning to you now, Coach Bostwick. Coach over here to my left touched on it a little bit, the FCA program. I know that's something you're majorly involved in. I think you want to talk a little bit about that. How have you been able to, build that FCA program even in your short time here in your return?
I really don't want to take much credit for this, to be honest with you. I just thought we have such a large group of athletes on campus. Because of that, on the way back from my first time here compared to now, we even have a larger group of athletes on campus, and I'm thinking, what a group that we can go after and to see if we can get them on fire for God and let that kind of bleed over into the rest of the campus. Colby over here has been involved in FCA since he was really young. So we talked on a trip up to up to Nebraska in preseason. First time I met Colby, and we talked both about our passion for FCA and just said, hey, let's make it happen. Let's see what we can do and see what God does. And previously we had done it, but we basically just used our athletes to go out and speak to huddles out in other high schools and things like that, or smaller high schools around the community. But we wanted to just change it and see where we can take this group of athletes to a higher level, commitment to Christ and stuff. And man, guys is just taken over. What he's done, it's been amazing. I mean, really, he's orchestrated the whole thing. We've had our athletes get up and speak, our coaches get up and speak. We had the opportunity. We probably have over 40 now that have committed their life to Christ or recommitted their life to Christ. We've baptized up to 40 athletes out here in the pond. And just to see what God's doing has been amazing. It's been amazing. I'm excited about what he had. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg of what's going to happen.
All right, Coach. Now, shifting the focus onto the court, you guys have had a good amount of success so far, have a talented team, interesting composition, all freshmen and juniors. You want to give a rundown of some of the guys making a big impact so far this year?
Okay. We don't have any seniors this year. It's a unique situation, but we do have a great group of juniors who are a bunch of leaders that I believe God has put here to help us immediately have some success out of the gate. It's not easy your first year. I brought one athlete with me, Isaac Rowe, from SAGU, that was an honor mission All-American. He's a difference maker kind of player. He plays every position. 6'8", super athlete, super unselfish, so he just facilitates the ball like they say LeBron James. He just loves to make everybody else look better. And he's probably the key ingredient to start the whole thing. At the same time, we had 5 athletes that played last year for Mark that are juniors, and they're having a huge impact. Those guys have, established a base, and Mark has grown them up and done a great job with them. Bremen Alexander, he had 21 points a game last year. He's an incredibly offensive talent, but at the same time, I've been really excited about his commitment to defense and his unselfish play as well. Jake Fikert is shooting the ball incredibly well out of the gate. I think he's something like 13 for 18 from 3 so far. Albert Lawrence is just a hard-working, tough kid with incredible character. He played for me 1 year and then transferred here, so I'm getting the opportunity to coach him again. And then Jervis Hamilton's been a real big blessing to us. Another high-character kid, Jamaican that is in his 4th year as a student. He redshirted a year. Man, he just loves Oklahoma Wesleyan. He just bleeds what the school's all about, loves the Lord, and just is a warrior out there. We've got about 2 or more other transfers, 2 or 3 actually more transfers that are going to make a major impact. KJ Malvo, starting at the point for us right now. He was a Division I athlete out of high school. God's brought him here, and we're excited about that. He's quick. Gets a little bit of resemblance in Dominic Rambo in the way he plays as far as just, his gears he can go to on the floor and unselfish play. Another guy that's going to impact us second semester is Josh Wilchcombe, about a 6'9", gentle giant, but man, is he a big kid that can really change the game at this level. I'm really excited to see what he's able to bring whenever he's able to play come second semester. We've got some really talented freshmen that are helping us out as well, and just looking forward to seeing what God has.
All right, Coach, I know this story that I'm going to ask you about, maybe a little bit of a longer story. I've heard it before, but a lot of people have seen you coaching on the sidelines, holding your Bible in your hands. A lot of people might be a little bit curious about that. I want you to briefly touch on the background and kind of how that contributes to your mission here in life.
It just keeps me from beating up the referee and throwing stuff at him, and honestly, it does keep me in check. But the Bible, whenever my second year in Texas, my father had passed away of cancer my last year here, and so I go down to Texas, and my pastor at the time was IT director and had started a church plant, a little small church plant in Texas, and He was just being the IT director so he could have enough money to afford to do the church plant. 33 years old. My dad's name was David. His name was David. My coach's name is David. I had a chaplain on the team's named David, and it was just unique. We're in chapel one day. Our season's going all right, but not great. My second year there, we hadn't made the national tournament. We're 4-2. Just lost my second best player for the season. And David and his wife Joy go up front and announce that he thought he hurt his shoulder in intramurals, and instead it's stage 4 bone cancer. And I felt like God called me to fight next to him. I've been studying David and Eleazar, one of David's mighty men in the Bible, and he held on to the sword in a battle when everybody else was running and just stopped and killed 800 men, and the sword froze in his hand and won a major victory. And so God, I felt like God was saying, hey, you need to carry your sword, you need to fight with David. And so I started carrying my Bible. Crazy true story. We won 17 straight games and went to the national championship. David on conference championship night let me know by a text, NED, no evidence of disease, that cancer was gone at that point, and we were able to raise $10,000 for a stem cell transplant for him. And on national TV, ESPN3, they honored David and what God had done through our team, and just kind of allowed us to be a part of that miracle.
Well, that's an incredible story right there, Coach Bostwick, and I hope that can provide some insight to some people in the stands, maybe curious why you're holding the Bible. I'm sure nobody has an issue with it. It's just something you don't necessarily see every day. So coaches, Coach Bostwick, Coach Glavonic, Coach Robinson, thanks for your time today joining us on this first roundtable edition of Eagle Sports Talk on the Oak Blue Sports Network and 99.1 FM KPGM.